Right.
Yeah.
And so you've got to, that's why you have to work on building that intimacy. And when you do have it, it's interesting. There's a pretty famous author and therapist, Esther Perel, and I've read most of her books. She wrote a book that's famous on this topic called Mating in Captivity. A lot of people have read that book. And
well, we're going to do a whole episode on this, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you want to add it in here.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll just add a little bit and then we could always talk more about this. But she was saying one of the main points that she says that a lot of people repeat is that intimacy and sexual attraction are diametrically opposed to each other. So meaning that the more you have intimacy, which she calls familiarity, the more that you know a person, the less mysterious they are, the more intimate you are with them, then the less sexually attracted you'll be to them. And I think a lot of people operate from, and I think at a certain level of depth, that is true. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people would say that's true. I won't dive into it because we could do a whole episode on, but I think it's related to when you're still in a validation seeking phase of a relationship. But I think there's another side to it, which is when you push through to a deeper level of depth of intimacy, the relationship between intimacy and sexual desire swaps. So now, instead of being diametrically opposed, they become correlated. So they're related. So the deeper the intimacy goes, the more that the sexual attraction goes. But it requires you to reach a depth level where that crossover occurs. And most people don't reach that.
It's a level too that you're attracted to the person for more than the physical when you get that level of intimacy. And so if for some reason you lost a bit of the physical attractiveness, you're still very attracted to that person because of the connection you guys have and who that person actually is.
Right.
But yeah, we'll have to do a more, because I think intimacy is a very important part of relationships, and I think it does deserve its own whole episode because it's a lot to, get into.
And so many people have such a shallow relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think to speak to the point, we were talking about this a little bit too on the way over, and I don't know if the good example, but I was saying, who's a famous guitarist?
You said Van Halen.
I said Van Halen, but maybe it's more...
What about like Slash?
Okay, Slash. I mean, that's kind of old, but okay, well...
I mean, I feel like he's very noticeable with his hair and the hat.
So Slash, let's take Slash, right? All right. If you got Slash's guitar, right, you would be like, you would think it is beautiful. Not because it might be dinged up. It might not be in the best condition. It might have some stickers on it. I mean, it's seen some wear and tear. But if you were to get it, you'd be like, this is the most beautiful guitar I've ever seen because it's Slash's guitar.
Right.
When you have a level of love and intimacy for your partner, that you love them so much and you have such intimate connection, you're attracted to their body because it's their body.
Right.
Which
no
is,
matter what it looks like.
Right.
Which it might look like a new guitar and it might look like a guitar with
I'm
some
not saying that it doesn't have to look, or it can't look good. I'm just saying that that's the level of, it's the same kind of relationship in the sense that it's not about the guitar. It's about the fact that Slash, it's his guitar. He owned that guitar. That's why it's a collector's piece. That's why.
And that's why you care about it.
Right. Yeah. And so I think that's the thing that a lot of people miss, and because they've never experienced it, so they don't realize that that's possible.
A lot of people don't experience it. And that's why that book that you're talking about, The Mating in Captivity, is so popular, because that is a lot of people's reality. But at the same time, that's why we started this podcast, because it's not the only reality. And
exactly.
Not to sound like conceited, but we want people to experience what we have and the connection we have and the appreciation and the love and the respect and the intimacy and all of those things, because everybody should be in a relationship and be like, I am so fulfilled. I'm 100% fulfilled. I'm not looking for anything else.
Right.
I appreciate what I have. And that's why we started this whole thing to begin with.
Exactly, yeah.
But it is possible. I know, too, that even back when I was single, if I watched something like this, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But, when you do experience it, you realize that a lot of the cliche things that people say are actually true. Yeah. And so, if people don't give up hope. I feel like they can really achieve the things that we talk about, especially this, and some of that might be like men not being tempted, not tempting themselves by following other women or actively looking up like other women so that they feel like, oh, well, I could have a woman like this, and women, appreciating the good man that she has and not being like, oh, well, what if I could get this other more successful guy or this guy who looks like this or, something else. Like it all boils down to increasing your intimacy and having deep and meaningful conversations. And if that doesn't bring you what you want, then leaving the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think another element of it that I was talking to one of the guys about that I was coaching was the idea of, well, I mean, a lot of it comes down to romance, which, I mean, that can also be another topic for a podcast, because just what that is and how, how can guys actually learn
romance
that.
Is complicated.